All right, so we're going to talk about pet insurance. I find that this is often a personal choice. I am not telling you one way or another. I have to leave this up to you. You have to decide if you want to do this or not. It could be that you have a particular breed that may have a higher chance of getting some health issues later in life, and it can be fairly expensive to have this fixed. Just like people, you can't guarantee your own life or the life of your children, and therefore we have insurance for ourselves as well. So maybe you want to consider getting a pet insurance. Now, I'm not going to suggest a particular kind of company. I just want you to be aware of a few things before you pick one. And one of those things is how much, you want to kind of look at it. How much can you afford? Because yes, you may not have the expense now, but when the dog gets older and a particular health issue develops, can you then afford it? The other thing is, can you afford a monthly premium with your insurance company? Over time, it may be more than you ever need for the puppy, for the dog when they're older, but because it's a littler amount every month, you're covered. So they often start with a deductible and a premium that you have, of course. And most companies I've seen out there now kind of let you decide how much you want to pay per month and how much of a deductible it is. So if you can afford $20 a month, your deductible may be higher than if you pay $40 to $50 or even $80 a month. Your deductible will be a lot lower. But again, it all comes down to how comfortable you are. So go online, look at a couple of them. You can probably go on the search engines and type in top 10 pet insurance companies in Canada or in the US. It's up to you. Just Google that and you end up finding a few and look at all of them. You want to read the fine print because unfortunately a lot of them hide some of the details in the fine print. I've heard of some horror stories where a person had a very expensive pet insurance for their golden retriever. The golden retriever ended up having hip dysplasia, which they thought they had coverage for, but because it was common to the breed, they didn't even bother at all to cover this because it was prone to the breed and they refused to pay any kind of coverage. So you want to know this up front, because if you get a dog and if it's, for example, a large dog that could potentially have hip dysplasia, are they going to cover something like that? It can be that the company itself doesn't cover it with the regular premium, but they have like an add-on part to their regular monthly to cover that particular health defect in a particular breed. So again, do your research on this and be careful, especially with the fine print. If you're not sure, you can always call them and ask them because they should give you the answer to that. You should always kind of figure out what is covered and what is not covered. Now, this can be a bit confusing because they are smart people. They word it in such a way that sometimes it's hard to figure out if they actually cover it or not. If you call them and they tell you that they do, get it in writing. Or if you're able to and you're allowed to, maybe record the conversation. Just a few of those things you just want to keep in the back of your mind because you don't want to find out later that all these years you've been paying into it and find out that they don't actually cover what the dog happens to have at that time. Obviously, you want to look at some things. Are they covering pre-existing conditions? There are certain things that a dog may have when you bought it at first, and maybe they're not covering this because it's pre-existing before you got your premium. So if it's something that they have before you get it, maybe they're not going to cover that later on in life when it actually becomes a problem. So you want to find out that kind of stuff beforehand before you sign on the dotted line. The other thing you want to know is, when does the coverage start? Because sometimes it could be that a company says, well, we start 1 month in. So if you sign up today and tomorrow something happens, you may not yet be covered because you need to have about 30 or even 60 days before the actual problem can take place and need some coverage for. So I have heard of some of these companies out there as well. They may only cover after 30 days. This is often given by a vet. There are some vets that give a pet insurance as a free first month free, but they don't always start till after. So just something to verify before you sign on the dotted line again. So hopefully this was making you a little bit aware of what's going on. It's a competitive market out there. So often you can actually get fairly decent prices for the insurance, but just again, make sure that you know what is covered and what is not. So hopefully this was helpful, and we'll see you in the next video.